Okay, so I think that's saying right, yeah, recording has started. So hi everyone. As I kind of like briefly introduced myself before, I'm Hayley. I'm the staff health and fitness personal trainer for LTHT. We've got a couple of segments today. One of the first ones that we're doing is I'm going to do a milkshake recipe for you. Now I've kind of gone together and tried to weigh it all out before, but it's good to know that when we're talking about the I don't want to say like the natural remedies of stuff, but when there were other options and some of the ingredients that Dr. Caroline Taylor was talking about, and how it can sometimes be difficult to incorporate that all the time into your life, especially, you know, when it's in terms of if you're doing the cooking and stuff like that. There are little hacks to be able to kind of get some of those into your diet without it widely affecting, you know, everyone else. And this smoothie is one of them. So bear with me. I'm going to tell you the ingredients first of all, and I'm going to wait for you to all kind of turn your noses up, because I'm very aware that on paper it sounds a bit, but trust me, I made it to have a go, because I'm not going to recommend what I don't try myself. And actually, I've been drinking it ever since. So I actually really like it. So we're starting with, it's a beetroot base. So 50 grams of beetroot. Beetroot is a really good superfood. It's really high in nitrates, and that kind of helps your body with the utilisation of oxygen. We then got kale and oat milk. Now, that's really good for your vitamin D and your calcium, and that was one of the things that we touched upon with the bone density. That's really important to keep an eye on when you're kind of going through the menopause. So that's really good to kind of have some of those in there. And you can't absorb your calcium without your vitamin D, which is why that's, well, not as effectively. So that's why that's really important. We then go on to some sweet bits, but it's not just like really earthy. So we've got blueberries, which, as you're probably all very aware, are really good, really high antioxidants, so just really good for general health and immune system, all stuff like that. Prunes give it a little bit of added sweetness as well. And then we've got flaxseed in there. So some of the other benefits that we've got in, it's high in fibre, so some of the symptoms didn't necessarily get discussed, but you can struggle with digestion, if you have constipation, bloatedness. So having a good fibre source in your diet will really help. It's rich in omega-3 and 6, which can help with heart health, which I know we kind of touched on a little bit in the chat, but it can also help improve mood as well. So that's, you know, a really good one to have in there. And zinc, which can help sleep, which I know that's one of the things that was coming through quite a bit in the chat, was disturbed sleep patterns. So if you're getting that natural kind of addition of a zinc, that can be linked to getting a better sleep pattern in there. So I've done all the spiel. This is when it's going to get very loud, when I have to put it all in a blender. Now I have pre-weighed all of this so that you didn't have to see me pottering around my kitchen. It is going to go in the resource pack as well, so it will have all the measurements and everything in there. So all we're going to do, I've just got like a magic bullet. You can use any kind of blender you want, really. We're going to start with the beetroot. So it's 50 grams of beetroot. Now, to make it easier, you can get just like your patch. You'll see them pretty much everywhere. I don't know if you can see that. It's just pre-cooked, pre-done, and it's only 50 grams that you need. Just slice it straight through down there. And then your rinsed kale. It turns a really beautiful colour, though, I have to say, when you do it. It really is very pretty. And then it's 125 millilitres of your oat milk. I lied, I did not measure this one out, so apologies, you're going to have to watch me do that. any oat milk, really. I've ended up getting a different one to what I usually get. I'm not too sure how I feel about that one. So we will see. That's just going to go in there. Then 65 grams of blueberries. These have just come, I've taken these out from the freezer. If you do them from frozen, obviously it's going to give it that bit more of that chilled texture. And I think it usually is cheaper, especially at this time of year, just to buy a pack of frozen blueberries. Really good just to have in. They were actually, I went to the market and bought a massive thing of them fresh. But I decided there was no way I was going to be able to eat them all in one go. And rather than them going funny, I just thought I'll freeze them all. Right, then your prunes. So literally you can just get a bag of these, just any kind of pitted prunes, and not that expensive. Can't remember how much I paid for these, something like 60p or something. But it's a 200 gram bag and you're only using 15 grams of them. So you do get your money's worth with it. And then your flaxseed. So you can pick this up now most places. I do a lot of my shopping at like Lidl and Aldi, and they're getting a lot better now at the health stuff you could get. Back in the day, it'd only be like Holland and Barrett and you'd be paying an arm and a leg for it. But yeah, you can get it from most places now. Just be sure when you look at it that it's fortified flaxseed, because it will just have the added benefits in there. And I'm just going to grab some ice cubes, pop half of them on the floor. The ice cubes really are just for your texture in there. I've put 50 grams. You can see I've clearly not measured that out. It is mainly texture wise, whether you like a thicker smoothie or whether you want it quite watery. That's the only reason really. And obviously it just adds that benefit of it being a little bit colder as well. Right, this is where it's going to get really noisy. So I apologise in advance. We'll just pop this on, and we're only going to blast it for about a minute or so, just until all the ingredients are kind of nice and blended in.
We need some of that tumbleweed music.
I did just put it on mute because it was very, very loud and I didn't want you all just having to listen to that. So like I say, just have a quick look when you do it. I've just done that for about 40 seconds or so. That's looking like quite a nice texture for me. I'll just grab a glass. So, yeah, that's looking ideal. I don't know if you can see that being poured out now, but it's come that really nice kind of purple colour. It's very, very nice. I will prove I actually do like it, and I'm not just saying this. I will have a drink of it.
It looks amazing, Hayley.
Thank you. That's one of my better ones.
I'm quite jealous. I really want one now, but I don't have any of those ingredients. Oh, apart from the kale. I've got the kale. But I'm very jealous.
I had to double check last night because I usually get it all in. I was like, oh, just better make sure that I've got everything. But the good thing about it is it's not using a load of stuff that, like when you do all these recipes, I like all the time I'm looking at these recipes online, I think, oh, that sounds incredible, but you end up having to go out and buy all these spices or all this stuff that you just never use again. Whereas with this, you're probably going to use, if it's nothing in there that you've got to go and source anything ridiculous.
Yeah, they would, apart from the flax seeds, they are part of my general shopping that I would normally buy. So that's really good. Raquel's just put something in the chat. Can you prep it beforehand without the ice? So if you wanted to just do it like the night before or something.
You can. So I have done this before. All I would say with that is, because of the texture of it, of some of the ingredients, when I've done that before, it did go a little bit, don't want to use the word congealed, but you know, when it's, so all you need to do, if you do that, all I would say is water it down a little bit with some water the next day. Just get like pour a little bit in, because I know what you're saying. If you're doing it like first thing in the morning, like I've done this before, where it's like I don't really want to wake people up with that. But yeah, just pop a little bit of water in there, and it will just loosen everything back up again. It's just like with the sugar content in the prunes, and obviously just, yeah, it's that mixed with the beetroot that can go a little bit thicker, shall we
And can
say.
you freeze it as well?
I've not tried it, but I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. It's like with any basically any food or drink with it. There's nothing in there that wouldn't be all right to freeze. So I don't see why.
It just might change the texture a bit, hadn't it? You might have a bit more of a watery drink.
Yeah, that all I'd say is a lot of it with this, it's the texture of it. But again, that's a personal preference as well, because I quite like quite a thick thing. It's like with soup, I can't eat watery soup. I've got to have it really, really thick. So for me, I prefer something a little bit thicker, but some people might prefer it like more like a juice.
And in terms of the beetroot, can you use any beetroot? Can you use the jarred beetroot? I presume you can't use pickled because it'll have a completely
yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend pickled unless you want a little bit of a kick. Let me just get one. This is where, oh God, right. I've just used the pack that you can get like that, and try not to twist it too much because I've not reshut it. But yeah, I would say the easier option is just to get the packs that are already there. I would assume that the jarred ones, as long as it's not pickled, is the exact same thing. They're just kept in the juices. That's all it is. And it's just, you can use raw, but obviously raw is probably going to be that little bit earthier, and it's probably not going to blend quite as well.
Mm. And then Catherine's just put another question about the freezing. So I presume if you freeze it, you don't put the ice cubes in, but then afterwards, I suppose you just add them to taste, do you? If you felt you needed to put some bit more water in it, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all to do with like I said, the taste and how cold you like it. The reason why I've used ice cubes when I'm making it fresh like this is because obviously when you blend it, it does generate heat. So when you've got most things that are at room temperature, obviously your milk's going to be cool, but everything else is pretty much at room temperature. That's the only reason why I kind of use the ice cubes as opposed to just putting a bit of water in there, just because it kind of helps keep it cooler.
Brilliant. And there was a question around fresh blueberries, and I think you only use the frozen ones, didn't you? Because of one, they're cheaper, and two, again, it gives you that colder texture.
Yeah, it is. When I was making it, the first few times I was making it, I was using the fresh ones. Like I said, the only reason I've done it in that is because I've got a massive bag that I've bought fresh that I had to freeze because I wasn't going to eat them all in time. And equally, yeah, if you use the frozen one, it obviously just adds that little bit of element of coolness. And I'm very aware from a cost point of view. I'm lucky I can go to the market, but it's like £2 something, is it, for like a small
They're not
pudding?
cheap, are they? And they go off quite quickly, don't the berries, if you don't eat them quick
yeah,
enough. So.
which is why I froze them. You should see, like, I got a massive thing of them, and I just thought I'm just going to freeze them because it's just easier.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Hayley. That was absolutely awesome, and lots of people putting in the chat saying that they're going to go and try it. So thank you so much.
Pleasure.